Alrighty, everyone. Last episode in this glorious week. Knowledge Hub number 41, episode number 168. Very close to 169. Next week we'll have a 69. That'll be nice. In this one, we're talking about how to surround yourself with the right people using the interwebs, using the online computer technology, maybe even the metaverse. Who knows? The metaverse is scary, man. I don't know how I feel about that. That aside, though, I want to talk to you guys about just like there's this quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I don't know if that's the exact quote, but that's, I'm paraphrasing. That's basically the quote. It's a very common quote. I think most of y'all probably heard that before. I think it's also very true. There's a lot of cliche stuff that is cliche for a reason. It's cliche because it's true. The people that you spend time with very much influence who you are, the type of thoughts that you have, the type of person that you become. And if you want to succeed in business, like I reckon most of y'all listening to this probably do, you want to surround yourself with people who are successful in business, because that can just be a huge asset. Like, just knowing people who are already doing the things that you want to do is a huge shortcut in life. They can just help you, shortcut so many of the things that you'd have to figure out on your own otherwise. There's also just the aspect of like just the whole, I don't know, just the general vibe of hanging out with people, spending time with people who are interested in this kind of thing. It's as some people might say, it's a vibe. It is quite a vibe. So the thing about this, though, when you're trying to surround yourself with the right people, it can be tough to do in real life, especially if you're young and you do not live in a big city. When it comes to ecom, there's a lot of people who do ecom out in like the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, in like New York City, in like the LA area, and around there. Besides that, I don't know if there's a whole lot of places where you'll find a lot of other people doing this kind of thing. Personally, where I live, I know maybe like 3 people in my area who are like close to my age and who do some sort of online business. And one of those dudes is literally someone that I like shipped up here to come live with me for 2 years. Just so that I could have someone that was, doing this kind of thing near me. No, not exactly. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. So this can be tough to do. It can be tough to surround yourself with people. If you want to do online business, it's not all that common of a thing in the real world. You don't really meet a whole lot of people who are running online businesses just in your day-to-day life. So since it's hard to do in real life, I think really the best alternative to that is the internet. It's certainly ideal if you can do it with if you live in a place where you can do that, or you just happen to know people, or you can meet people who are into this kind of thing in your real life. I would say that that's definitely the ideal way to do it. But since that's not always easy or possible, like I said, I think the best alternative is surrounding yourself with the right people using the internet. And this is something that personally for me has had just an immensely positive impact on my life. It's really the reason that me and Scotty are even here recording this together in the first place. We met on freaking Twitter, man. Like, it's weird to think about that. And a lot of the people that I'm friends with that are like people that I don't see in my real life every day because they don't live in my same geographic location, but people, a lot of these people I would consider some of my closer friends. And they're all people that I've met online, and it's been a huge asset. And I think that if you're someone who's involved in online business or wants to be involved, want to be successful with this stuff, making an active effort to meet people who are, involved in the same kind of thing is a very, very high ROI thing to do.
Definitely is. Definitely is. One of the coolest people you'll meet online, because you sort of hang around the same circles, you have the same sort of beliefs. Just there's this weird idea of like that we were taught, we're of the age where it's kind of weird to meet people online, but we've done it a lot, so now it becomes normal. I feel like growing up, we were kind of taught that like people you meet online are probably going to be weirdos. And what turns out is that most people in real life are kind of weirdos, and the people we meet online are generally cool as fuck. Um, yeah, it's a weird dichotomy. I think we're kind of we're that age where we're right in between the age where you would never meet people online and the age where it's just going to be normal to have fucking friends from online. I think we're kind of the transitionary generation or age. So we're in a weird spot where it's like what we grew up is not what we've experienced. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of weird because I feel like a little bit before us was like the whole like weird online meeting thing where like people were getting catfished and it was just like very sketchy. There was, that TV show and like it was just a lot of weird stuff, like especially with relationships. Like I will say I don't think that this is an effective method for meeting your your like significant other. Maybe it could be, but you could also get catfished and you don't want that to happen. But I think this is a really good way to just meet people who are interested in the same things that you are. It doesn't even have to be business necessarily. It could be whatever other, I don't know, woodworking or bird watching, whatever other weird shit that you're into. You can meet people who are interested in those same things.
Watching friends, they're definitely going to be weird. Hate to break it to you.
Say again?
If you're meeting up with bird watching friends, they're definitely going to be weird.
Hey, maybe that's a good market. Bird watchers.
Maybe if you want to deal with weirdos.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy because like me and Scotty are about to go on a trip with a bunch of dudes who we literally all met online. We're all from different places around the world. And I mean, this isn't the first time we're doing this. It's like, I don't know, probably the third trip that we're doing with this group of people. And it's super fun, man. It's so much fun. Now, how do you go about doing this? How do you meet people online without, meeting some weirdos? I'll say that like in terms of business stuff and like kind of the context that we're talking about this in, easiest route is probably just to make a Twitter account and be somewhat active on what some people call quote unquote money Twitter, which encompasses, a group of dudes. I don't even know if it's just money. There's a lot of other things that go into it. Just kind of like what I would consider to be our corner of Twitter. If you kind of look through me and Scotty's Twitter and you see the people that we follow, you'll get a decent idea of, who those people are. But I think that's really the best way is just kind of like contributing somewhat to this community on Twitter. That's really how we've done it. And it hasn't been like anything super crazy. And I never really went out of my way to do this. I was never thinking like I need to meet someone who's going to fast track my success in online business. Like that was never really the thought process. It just kind of happened organically by sharing what I was working on, replying to people's tweets and just like contributing to conversations in whatever ways that I could. Like my main goal is really more so to grow my Twitter account. And through that, I was able to meet a lot of really cool people. And then once you kind of start tweeting people, you kind of start making mutual friends with people. You see, okay, so I met this guy, tweeted back and forth with this guy. And, he's tweeting back and forth with this other guy. He's probably cool too. So I'll follow him. Maybe I'll reply to his tweet and say something funny, whatever. You do that kind of consistently, not like I don't even think you need to do it as like I don't know, like something you block out time for. You just kind of like do it whenever you feel like it. You'll start to meet people and then you can kind of take those conversations into the Twitter DMs, start messaging them a little bit, flirting with other dudes and stuff like that. And then from there, you can get their contact information, text, WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever. And then that's kind of when you are forming more real relationships, I would say. Obviously, if there are people that you haven't met in real life, they're still like online friends. But that's how I've met so many valuable people that, a lot of people that I still haven't met in real life, but a lot of people who I have met in real life. And that's kind of the beauty of online business is like pretty much all of us have the ability to travel and kind of live life wherever we want to. And because of that, it becomes pretty easy to meet up with people in real life and do fun stuff.
Yes, sir. That it is. And the thing about online friends is, are just like people you have met online. They're in the same space. They generally are going to work online and have online income, and they're actually going to be able to go on a random trip to a random location by the beach for a few days. They don't have to ask permission from their boss, or if you're on money Twitter, they probably don't have to ask permission from their fucking wife because they're all single because they have no women's can't hold down a relationship. So you're gonna have people that are in similar sort of situations. They can just take a trip and work from wherever for a bit, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It is, man. It's super cool. I mean, those trips are always so much fun. I'm so excited for next week.
Funny too when you meet people that you've talked to online a lot. Sometimes there's like a weirdness for a second, and then it just feels like you've known each other for ages because you kind of
yeah,
have.
that's so accurate. Like it's like awkward for like the first 5 seconds, and then you start talking to them, and you're like, oh shit, like we have the exact same interests. We have a lot in common. We have a lot to talk about, and then it gets fun, man. And then it gets fun, and then all of a sudden you're hanging out, talking to people that you've realistically never met in person before, but you're talking to them and like acting with them like you would someone you've known for 5-10 years. And it's just like it's a very cool thing, man. It's a very cool thing. I mean, I've literally met I think over a dozen people from Twitter, just traveling to various places, planning trips with people. Like it's super cool, man. It's so fun. And we just all have a blast. Like I've never not had a great time meeting up with people from Twitter and going on trips and stuff.
Definitely a good time. Definitely a good time.
And I would
Sometimes
say like
hard to
to do this,
organize.
say again.
Sometimes hard to organize. Trying to get a bunch of dudes living in different places with all their own plans and businesses and shit going on. Trying to get them all in the same place ain't always easy, but when it happens, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes, but when the stars align, the stars align. Now I will say that to do this, like you don't really have to necessarily go all out being a quote unquote content creator. You could, if that's the route you want to go. I think that could be something that is, that could be worth doing. It was certainly worth doing for me. But really, if you're just somewhat active in the, in the quote unquote community, if you're just kind of being yourself, being authentic, providing some sort of value, whether that's just like having some sort of expertise or just being like entertaining and funny. There's a few guys like that I can think of from Twitter. If you're doing that, you're going to meet new people, you're going to make connections, and eventually you can take those relationships into the real life world, not the metaverse, the real life world, the realiverse, the universe, something like that. And that's really when it gets fun, because then all of a sudden now you're going on trips with dudes that you feel like you've known your whole life, starting businesses with them, and just enjoying the fruits of your labor, man. It's a beautiful thing.
That it is, Schmitty.
I think this is going to be like way more common. Like we're at the beginning stages of this, but I think in like 10 years, 20 years, like that's going to be a very common thing for people to make friends through like various niche online communities. I think that's kind of where it's at, man. And it seems kind of weird, but I'd say that this is probably one of the best ways to make friends, just because instead of making friends based off of just like who's closest to you, I feel like a lot of people have friends that they're just mainly friends with because of proximity. You're going to be making friends because of like the opposite of proximity. Like oftentimes these people won't be close to you at all geographically, but you'll just have so much in common, and just you'll just resonate with each other so much that you'll still become very good friends. And then yeah, it's cool.
Dude,
man.
it's honestly sad. It's not even proximity. It's like when you think about like university, or for me, even high school, a lot of the people I know that are in university, they'll make friends in that first week, and those will kind of be their university group for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's all made in it's all based on who you happen to be talking to in that first week and who you sort of got along with. And then because you don't know anyone, you sort of stick together, or you come to university with like 5 people you knew from high school. They weren't really friends in high school, but because you know the faces, you hang around them in the first week because you're anxious and like you don't want to be alone. You want to be around people. So you're around these 5 random people just because they went in the same high school as you. And then you're not really friends, but you end up hanging around a lot for like 5 years. You're like university buddies, but not close friends. The amount of people I know that have that, it's honestly sad.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. When I first went to college, like that was like my first like few weeks of college, and then I joined a fraternity, and then that thankfully prevented me from staying in that kind of a rut. But it is funny how that works when you go up to college, and then immediately like these dudes that like people that you were not even friends with in high school, all of a sudden you become friends with them just because like you like know of each other and you don't know of anyone else there.
Yeah. And I mean, if you become close friends, that's awesome. But what I feel is sad is the hanging around them for 5 years because you happen to know them or you happen to talk to them that first week, and they're like, you get along but you don't do anything outside of university, you don't actually get along, you just like, you get along but you're not close, you're not friends, you're
Yeah.
not homies. That's honestly kind of sad.
That's why Twitter's good, man. Twitter's the way that you find the real homies.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it is. For
It
me,
is
it's been
weird,
like
dude.
it was
It's
Twitter
super weird. Like
originally,
there's
and
oh, go ahead.
now it's all like friends of friends. Like all the people I've met in the past like year and a half have been friends of Twitter dudes. Because I'm not active anymore. I'm not meeting new cool people on Twitter, but it's like people that someone else knows, and you end up meeting up somehow, or you end up being in the same place, hanging
Mhm.
out. So weird how that happens.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is. Well, that's the gist, guys. You want to surround yourself with the right people. Sometimes it's not super easy to do in your real life, especially if you're younger, you live in a smaller town. But you can certainly do it online, regardless of where you live. And I really do think that Twitter. I'm biased, obviously, because that's kind of how me and Scotty have done it. But I think that's a really, really good way to do it. There's certainly other niche online communities that you can immerse yourself in and do similar things. But I think really the main point is like you just got to kind of find these types of communities that are based around things that you're really interested in and just contribute, like you don't have to really go in with too much of an agenda, but just like reply to people, contribute to the conversation, and just bring to the table whatever you can, and you'll meet people just by kind of way of doing that. And then it really just like kind of compounds on itself. Once you start meeting a few people, like kind of like you were saying, Scotty, those people will introduce you to other people. And then all of a sudden you got one big old network of people who are all interested in the same things that you are. It's pretty cool.
That it is. That it is, Schmitty.
All right, folks. Well, that has been this week's Knowledge Drop number 41. We hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, things that you want us to talk about in these here episodes, let us know in the Telegram. We are more than happy to answer y'all's questions and do whatever we can that might be of assistance to you. So, all that said, have a great rest of your weekend, day, week, whenever it is that you're listening to this, and we will talk to you guys next week.